glitch. It happens from time to time, but you caught me in the middle of my rant. You caught me in the middle of my rant. We're just getting on the air because of a glitch and all that. But yeah, you caught me in the middle of my rant. The Mets, sports radio will have us believe that the Mets were better off. First of all, the Mets were better off without Willie, who won you 97 games, without Omar Minaya, who was able to get the types of players. If you go back and look at the lineups and the types of players that Omar Minaya was able to get, types of players to bring here, was phenomenal. And sports radio ran these guys out of town. They talked day after day about Willie this, Willie that, Omar this, Omar that. The Jose Reyes dancing. What does that have to do with the play on the field? I think arguably Jose Reyes was the best shortstop in Mets history. Arguably, Jose Reyes, and probably I would even go as far as to say Jose Reyes is probably in the top 10 as far as Mets in the all-time history. I would put definitely Jose Reyes in as one of the best players in Met history. Arguably, I would put him in the top 10, Jose Reyes. And to tell me, I will not believe that nonsense. And I run into people. And you know what? The sports radio has effect on the public, because I run into people, and the first thing they tell me, I run into them and I say, oh, I'm a Met fan. And then they say, I'm a Met fan too. And then I say, oh, don't you miss Reyes? And they say, oh, they're better without Reyes. They're better without Reyes. What planet are you on? You must be listening to sports radio, because there's no way the Mets are better without Reyes. There's no way they're better without Pagan. There's no way the Mets are better off without Beltran or K-Rod. They did a house cleaning, these guys, Sandy Alderson and crew, and they talk about Terry Collins like he's some kind of hero. He's won 70-something games, and you would think that Terry Collins won a round in the playoffs or something. They talk about him like he's Superman. Terry Collins, he is so great. He's a genius. Sandy Alderson, oh, he's so great. He's a genius. Oh, what did they do? They've had a losing record every year. And I'm sick and tired of it. They talk about Alderson, Sandy Alderson, and Terry Collins as if they're baseball gods. They win 70-something games every year. And they ran Willie out of town. He won 97 games. So if this is the way you want it, I just want to ask you, Met fans, is this what you want? If you don't like dancing, first of all, you can't dance and celebrate unless you're winning. Reyes was dancing and celebrating because the Mets were winning. So if you don't like the dancing and the celebrations, then stay at 70 wins. Stay at 60 wins. This is great. This is great for the people who hate the dancing. This is great. This is super. And they dogged Beltran. They talked about Beltran like he was a dog. Dan the Man, you have anything to interject? Because I know you have some thoughts on this about the Mets. Because we're both of us are lifelong Met fans. What's going on, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, you look at it, the Met fans are going to cringe because Beltran is going to be in the playoffs. I think St. Louis has wrapped up that second wild card. So you will see Beltran in the playoffs. And to add insult to injury, you will see Angel Pagan playing center field for the San Francisco Giants in the playoffs, and they in first place. And I was reading an article about what Pagan brought to the table. And he brings speed, and he has a very good on-base percentage for the San Francisco. They say he's the table setter in that lineup. And I'm like, well, what the hell happened to the Mets there, you know? And Reyes, even though Florida's in last place, he's still hitting about 285, you know, close to 40 stolen bases. You know, I think he has something like 170-something hits. So, you know, he's still Reyes. And I'm saying if the Mets had kept those three players, Beltran, Pagan, and Reyes, we wouldn't talk about 70-something wins. Maybe we'd be talking about a wild card, especially with the pitching of R.A. Dickey this year.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, you've got definitely a number 1 and 2. Reyes Pagan was definitely a great 1 and 2 to start off. Great table setters for the rest of that lineup. And I don't know. But the thing about it is I am lost. If I listen to sports radio, if I cut on sports radio, you think that Terry Collins was the next coming of Yogi Berra. Or Terry Collins was the next Billy Martin. And that Sandy Alderson was someone of one of the greatest GMs in Met history. The way that these guys talk about Sandy Alderson and Terry Collins, it's mind-boggling. And on the flip side of that, these same sports guys on these same sports radio stations were ready to run. Well, they did. They ran Willie Randolph and Omar Minaya out of town. They ran Omar Minaya and Willie Randolph. And remember, granted, Willie Randolph won 97 games. I don't know how many times I have to repeat it. Willie Randolph won 97 games. And you ran them out of town. And all you hear about, and the thing about it, rather than focusing on the wins, you've got folks who call up and talk about, oh, did you see Reyes dancing? Did you see Reyes dancing? And then you have this whole conversation that goes on for the whole, whoever you're talking to, if it's Mike Francesa or if it's Boomer and Carton or if it's Beningo and Roberts, they'll spend their whole hour or practically their whole show talking about Jose Reyes dancing. If that's good for the team. And my thing is, Jose Reyes would not have been dancing if they were losing. When he's dancing, he's celebrating. So I guess you like it now, you callers and you Met fans. I hope you like it this way. They're losing. There's no dancing. There's no Reyes. There's no Willie, and there's no Omar. They're at 74 wins, I think, the last time I looked. So if that's what you like, Met fans and you radio announcers, then go ahead. It's the blind leading the blind, basically. And I'm not part of it. I'm trying to wake you guys up because stop listening to that stuff because it's just a bunch of nonsense. Because I listen to people and I could tell they're just regurgitating what they hear on the radio and it's wrong. They're just regurgitating the same stuff that they hear on the radio and it's wrong. So real sports fans, stand up. Call these radio stations and say we need a change, or call the radio station itself and tell it these guys that they're full of nonsense. All these guys are full of nonsense. Anybody that will tell you that the Mets are better off with Terry Collins and Sandy Alderson running the team, they're full of nonsense. They won 74 games this year. And without R.A. Dickey, you take his 20 wins out of the line, they will be a 50-win team without R.A. Dickey. So, and just like Dan just told you, you got Beltran going to the playoffs with the Cardinals, and you've got Pagan going to the playoffs, playing on the best team in the National League, Pagan with the San Francisco Giants. So, moving right along. We've got Dan just informed me before the show started that Rasheed Wallace has become a Knick. Will become a Knick on Monday. This just came down the pike. Wallace has told the Knicks he has elected to come out of retirement and join their training camp. The 6'11" Wallace, who worked out with the Knicks over the weekend, retired 2 years ago after a disappointing season with the Celtics. The Knicks are expected to announce the signing Monday at Media Day. The first practices begin on Tuesday. Wallace, 38, will become the fifth Knick over the age of 35, joining Jason Kidd, Marcus Camby, Kurt Thomas, and Pablo Prigioni. So the Knicks have some guys that are over 35, which is true. It's a well-balanced club. They needed a backup for Amari Stoudemire. They had been looking for a backup to Amari Stoudemire, and most of the players you still have a young team. Most of the players are below 30 on the team, but they do have some older players. The article just they do have some players that are over 35. 5 players over 35, but the majority of the Knicks are under 30. Dan, you have any thoughts about Rasheed? What are your thoughts on Rasheed today?
Well, he hasn't played in 2 years, basically. It's going to take him a while to really. He took a physical, so that means he's in shape, but he's not in playing shape. And then his last year in the Celtics was horrible. But a lot of this is Mike Woodson, because Mike Woodson was the assistant coach for the Detroit Pistons when the Pistons won the NBA championship. So, Woodson knows him, and Woodson wanted to get this done. This is Mike Woodson. Because the Knicks right now, if you look at how the Eastern Conference shapes up, it's a very competitive conference. So, and plus, there's a lot of pressure on Woodson, this year, especially with the players. And he's, supposed to get the Knicks going. That's why they paid him. So, there's a lot of pressure on Woodson, and he wants the team to really succeed. That's why the Knicks hired Hakeem Olajuwon, which was a Mike Woodson move. They also hired a shooting guru to help the other players as far as shooting free throws and 3-point shots, because the Knicks was almost dead last in the league last year in 3-pointers. And I think that the Knicks right now, they really need a boost. So it's a no risk factor getting Rasheed Wallace, because he's a veteran. He offers veteran leadership, so he'll be good for that locker room.
And then also, he does bring some defense. I think what it is also, I think Woodson wants to bring a defensive mentality, because all the players that they got on the offseason with Jason Kidd, Marcus Camby, Kurt Thomas, now Rasheed, all of these guys bring defense. So I think that part of this whole Woodson thought process is to get defensive-minded, and bring like a defensive mentality, and maybe even a defensive reputation to the Knicks. I think that's where they're going. When you look at the Knicks now, you think of Stoudemire and Carmelo, and they kind of got the rap that they don't play D. These guys got the rap that they don't really play D. So I think part of this is we got Shumpert. We have these players here now. We have Rashid. We've got Chandler. We have Kidd. We have Felton. We are defense first over just a bunch of shooting and scoring. So I think that's the route that they're probably going to go with this. I mean, I guess Rashid still has to make the team. I mean, this is not a done deal. I guess they're going to sign him, and if he doesn't do well, they're going to cut him. There's a lot of guys that come during preseason and training camp, and by the time the season starts, they get cut. So we'll see. This is a work in progress. Rasheed Wallace, been out the NBA for 2 years, but I'm sure he's going to help them. Whether he stays for the long haul or he's just here for preseason, he's going to fall well into what Woodson wants to do defensively and what Hakeem Olajuwon, and then even just for Stoudemire and Carmelo Anthony to practice with this guy in the first month of the season, because that's who he's really taking on during practice is Carmelo Anthony. So Stoudemire is going to have his work cut out for him during practices. He's going to be practicing his moves against Rasheed, even though he's older. Rasheed definitely does his thing on the defensive end. Moving right along, we've got the Jets and Giants playing tomorrow. We've got the Jets playing at 1 o'clock, and we've got the Giants playing at 8:20. They play the Eagles at 8:20. And I've been thinking a lot about these Jets. Also, how can I forget? How could I forget? We had this whole fiasco this week with the Seattle Seahawks and the Green Bay Packers. Did you see this, Dan? Did you see this call?
Yeah, I thought it was an interception.
Yeah, it was an interception, of course. It's definitely an interception. There's no dispute. If you sided with the refs, there's something wrong with you. Listen, I don't understand this one. This is one that I don't even understand, because they got it wrong even with instant replay. They went back and looked at this video, and they still came and gave it to Seattle. You watched the replay. The guy clearly caught the ball and fell into the other guy's hand. But you know what? It helped squash this deal. The real refs are coming back. They signed their deal. We've got the refs coming back. The replacement refs. This is what the refs were praying for something really to go wrong in a high-profile game with a high-profile team in the Packers. That's what the refs wanted. And now they really came and they got everything they wanted. I think they got an 8-year deal. So the refs are in the driver's seat. They were able, because what happens is it would have been an utter chaos if you had the replacement refs coming this Sunday to start reffing games. It would have been almost chaotic at some of these stadiums. So, yeah, it was a horrible call. And it just happened at the right time. Perfect storm, as they would call it. Perfect storm. But moving right along, we have Darrelle Revis, who's out for the season, going down with the Jets. And at the beginning of the season, I had been, just pretty anxious about the Jets because we know what they've done. They went to 2 Eastern Conference championship games and lost. And then last year they were 8-8 and didn't make the playoffs. They went and got Tim Tebow in the offseason, and they basically didn't really, as far as what I saw, maybe Dan can help me, But as far as what I saw, the Jets didn't really improve their team as far as what I see. And then now they lost Darrelle Revis, who is my favorite player on the Jets. So I don't know, Dan. What do they do moving forward? Because they've got a few difficult games at home. They play the 49ers tomorrow. They play the Texans on Monday Night Football. Columbus Day Monday is the Jets play the Texans. And they play the following Sunday. They play the Indianapolis Colts. And the following Sunday after that, they play the New England Patriots. So they've got a tough schedule ahead. And listen, if they